We will take the first questions from Tina Panganiban Perez of GMA 7.
Good morning po, sir. In the latest... Sir, in the latest SWS survey, 66... Hindi naririnig. Thank you. Sir, in the latest SWS survey, 66% of the respondents said they agree that Vice President Duterte should address the allegations in the impeachment. 19% disagree and 15% are undecided. Your comment po.
Well, tingin ko matagal nang iniintay ng sambayan ng Pilipino na makita ang ebidensya ng prosecution laban doon sa impeachment case. At yun mismo ang utos ng ating saligang batas na pag dumating yung verified complaint na may pirma ng at least 1/3 ng members ng House, yan ay ituturing na articles of impeachment at agad-agad kailangan magkaroon na ng trial. Pag sinabi natin trial, ang ibig sabihin nun ay yung mismong paghaharap ng ebidensya, pag-uupo ng mga testigo para malaman natin kung ano ba talaga ang kaso. Hindi lang sa impeachment kasi hindi lang naman ang mga senators ang naghuhusga. Pati lahat tayo mga Pilipino ay judge din. Dahil 'di ba ang kasabihan natin sa konstitusyon ay public office is a public trust and that trust must never be abused or violated. Thank you, Tina.
Sir, isa pa po. May impact po ba yung public clamor sa Senate Impeachment Court and sa Supreme Court?
Well, tingin ko naman lahat ng mga nasa pamahalaan ay sensitive sa public opinion. Whether they will admit it or not, that is always a factor, especially for elected officials. Pero para sa akin, talaga yung dapat mangibabaw dito ay ano ba yung utos ng ating saligang batas? At sa akin, malinaw yon. Conduct the trial now.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tina. Mela Liz Moras from PTV4 is now recognized.
Hi, good morning po, Kong Jokno. Balikan ko lang po yung priority measures nyo na nabanggit kanina kasi kahapon lang inaprubahan na rin ni President Marcos yung proposed 6.793 trillion pesos national budget for fiscal year 2026 and kanina lamang nag-file yung Makabayan Block ng isang bill na ang itinutulak naman nila higher budget at allocation pa from GDP hanggang sa national budget nga for health. Since sinasabi niyo pong no children left behind, kayo po ba sa akbayan ang talagang tututukan niyo naman sa pambansang pondo yung education? I understand yun naman talaga yung laging priority. Pero yun ba yung talagang tututukan niyo pagdating ng budget season? Kasama
yun talaga at kailangan natin tingnan ng mas with a much deeper eye yung magiging budget for education. Sa akbayan, matagal na namin isinusulong yung gawin at least 6% ng gross domestic product ang budget for education. Pero hindi lang yon. Marami tayong tanong pagdating sa education budget. Paano i-address halimbawa ng DepEd yung shortage ng classrooms? Paano nila i-address yung kitang-kita naman natin na problema sa kalidad ng edukasyon? Na nasa ibaba pa rin tayo when it comes to reading, science, and the other basic subjects, and also critical thinking. So these are among the matters that really matter a lot to us. Kasama rin doon, mabanggit ko lang, naghain na rin kami ng isang bill na gawing mandatory ang pagtuturo ng kasaysayan at batas tungkol sa West Philippine Sea sa lahat ng primary and secondary levels ng mga mag-aaral natin. Dahil ang tingin namin na mahalagang bagay na mapag-alaman na agad ng kabataang Pilipino yung mga tungkol sa West Philippine Sea.
Opo. And last question from my end po, Kong Shell. Speaking of West Philippine Sea, I understand nga na interview po namin kayo nung nag-file po kayo ng mga bill about West Philippine Sea. Kahapon po kasi nag-file naman ng resolution of both houses, number 1, si Ako Bicol Party List Representative Alfredo Garbin. At dito sa isinusulong ng charter change, hindi lamang economic provision, but at the same time yung territorial provision ng konstitusyon, yung gusto niyang maamyendahan. Kayo po ba, pabor kayo dito, given na isa rin kayo sa mga nagtutulak ng pagsusulong ng karapatan ng Pilipinas sa West Philippine Sea. Yung national territory daw yung mainly gusto niyang mas specify yung sa exclusive economic zone. At para sa inyo, okay po ba to?
Klaro naman ang posisyon ng akbayan pagdating sa charter change. The time will come when we must revisit our charter, our constitution. The question is, ngayon ba yung panahon na dapat gawin yon? Sa tingin ko, mas marami tayong kailangan tugunan ng mga problema ng ordinaryong Pilipino bago natin pag-usapan yung charter change. Nandyan yung sobrang pagtaas ng presyo ng bilihin at pagkain. Nandyan yung problema natin sa unemployment and underemployment, yung krisis sa edukasyon, access to healthcare. At yun ay mga bagay na must come first in terms of prioritizing what Congress will do.
Okay, thank you po.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mela. Earl Tobias from IBC 13 is next.
Good morning po, Congressman Shell.
Thank you.
Sir, sa kakabit ng SONA ni Pangulo ay yung mga pangyayari na mag-elect ng bagong liderato ng Kongreso. Pero ang isa po sa malaking inaabangan ay of course yung pagko-convene ng Senate Impeachment Court o yung pagsisimula na mismo ng pre-trial or trial proper. Sa araw na rin po na yon ay baka opisyal na rin po kayong na-appoint sa plenaryo ng Kamara bilang House Impeachment Prosecutor. Sir, what's the ideal date for the Senate Impeachment Court na simulan agad after the SONA, yung pagtalakay sa impeachment trial ni Vice President Sara Duterte?
Noong June, kung maalala ko, naglabas ng calendar ang Senate, si Senate President Escudero. At ang naalala kong nakalagay na petsa doon ay July 29, which is the day after the SONA. Whatever date the Senate sets, we will be ready. But of course, the sooner the trial begins, the better for the country. Kaya inaasahan namin na agad-agad magkakaroon na ng trial pagbukas ng 20th Congress.
Sir, follow-up, should there be any tedious debate still on the Senate para lang masimulan yung impeachment trial?
Wala na dapat. Puro debate na lang ang nangyayari. Para sa akin, malinaw naman ang utos ng konstitusyon. I-trial na itong kasong ito.
Thank you, sir. Lihis lang po ako sa ibang topic. Kahapon po, nag-file si Congressman Abante nung total ban nga po ng lahat ng forms ng online gambling. Pero ang akbayan po, ay, as I understand, yung final niyo po ay restrictive or strict regulation. Can you explain lang po bakit ganun po yung track na gustong tahakin ng akbayan versus online gambling?
Well, I'm sure magiging point of debate yan. Hindi lang sa House of Representatives, pati sa Senado at sa publiko. Yung isang issue kasi dyan ay pag ginawa natin yung total ban, ang isang malaking maaring mangyayari ay totally mag-underground itong mga online gambling platforms. At mas mahihirapan ng pamahalaan na sugpuin yung problema. If we can see them and then closely monitor and regulate them, ang pananaw ng akbayan ay mas practical na solusyon yon. But if, this is something that I'm sure will be discussed on the floor. At handa naman ng akbayan na ipaglaban yung aming posisyon. Of course, at the end of the day, it will be a decision of the House as a House.
Follow-up na lang din po, sir, kasi kakabit sa mga storya sunod-sunod na umeere yung sa Sugal ay yung kaso ng missing sa Bongeros. Meron pong mga reports na although ongoing pa rin po yung investigation and retrieval operations ng PCG. Ano lang pong may kokomento ninyo na posibleng may link yung mga buto na nakuha sa Taal doon sa sinasabi ng whistleblower dito po sa kaso ng missing sa Bongeros, sir?
Yung issue na yan, kailangan makapagkonsulta ang ating pamahalaan sa mga forensic experts. And I think it's about time na maging mas scientific yung ating approach sa pag-iimbestiga ng mga kaso. Isa sa mga isinusulong ko kahit noon pa bilang isang human rights defender ay magkaroon tayo ng isang independent forensics laboratory na wala sa chain of command ng PNP, na andyan ng mga taga-academe, para sure tayo na kung maglalabas sila ng mga findings and conclusions, we can be sure that they are based on science. Yung minsan kasi sa aking experience bilang isang abogado at human rights defender, ang nagiging basis ng mga prosecution ay testimonya lang. Pero alam naman natin lahat, pati kayo sa media, alam niyo naman lahat na pwedeng magbago ang sinasabi ng isang testigo. Ang hindi pwedeng baguhin yung mga scientific facts based on proper investigation.
Sir, last na lang po. Kong Benny Abante says dapat Quadcom yung fitting na komite na humawak nung missing sa Bongeros pati yung online gambling legislation and investigation. Would you actively join the Quadcom, sir?
Well, it's too early at this point to say what committees will be formed. But of course, any committee that will push for accountability, I would be most willing to participate in.
Thank you, Earl. Next is Rose Cus from UNTV. Please proceed.
Good morning po, Kong.
Good morning.
Babalik lang po ako sa SWS survey kung saan majority ng Filipinos agree na dapat harapin ni VP Sara yun pong impeachment trial para po i-address yung pong corruption allegation. In that same survey, majority rin po ng mga Pilipino sa Mindanao, particularly 55% agree na dapat pong i-address ni VP Sara yung allegation sa kanya on corruption sa formal impeachment proceedings. What does it show na pati po sa Mindanao kung saan may impluensya po yung mga Duterte ay mataas din po yung percentage ng mga Filipino na nag-a-agree?
I think it shows that the stance taken by the Vice President when the matter was being investigated by Congress ay hindi satisfied ang taong bayan, pati yung mga kapatid at kababayan natin sa Mindanao. And I think it's about time that there be more transparency. Kasi ang pinag-uusapan naman natin dito, hindi pera ng isang tao lang, pera ng buong bansa yan. Kailangan magkaroon ng pananagutan, kailangan malaman ng tao kung paano at saan ginamit yung pera na nanggaling sa atin lahat.
Ano naman po sa tingin niyo po yung implication na habang nabibinbin po yung proseso ng impeachment ay tumataas po yung public awareness kaugnay po ng issue?
Yes, and the longer the longer it takes for the impeachment trial to happen, talagang tataas at tataas yan sa tingin ko because we only have so much patience. Ito ay isang utos ng ating konstitusyon na dapat matagal nang nagawa o nasunod pero hanggang ngayon ay hindi pa rin nangyayari.
Last on my part na lang po regarding po sa SC resolution na nanghihingi po ng karagdagang dokumento at information sa Kamara kaugnay po ng impeachment complaints na inihain po against the Vice President. Kayo po ba as isa po sa mga mauupong House Prosecutor when the 20th Congress convenes, do you believe na hindi mag-i-issue ng TRO ang SC?
Well, ganito na isinampay yung mga petisyon na yan way back in February of this year. And up to now, wala pa naman lumalabas na temporary restraining order or injunction ang Supreme Court. Doon sa issue ng paglabas ng kanilang recent directive sa House of Representatives at sa Senado, ito lang sa tingin ko magkakaroon ng isang malaking question o debate within the legal community and even within the different branches of our government. Kasi kailangan mabalanse natin yung kapangyarihan ng Supreme Court to check grave abuse of discretion with the sole power put in the impeachment court by the Constitution. Nakalagay kasi sa Constitution natin, pagka mag-convene ang ating Senate bilang impeachment court, sila lang ang may kapangyarihan. Sabi nga ang wording ng Constitution, the sole power to try and decide the case. Ngayon, a balance has to be struck between that exclusive power given to the Senate as an impeachment court and the power given to the Supreme Court to check grave abuse of discretion. I think that will be an underlying issue that arose from the issuance of that directive by the Supreme Court. I fully respect the Supreme Court. I know ito ay isang pending case kaya meron tayong sub judice rule. Pinapoint out ko lang po na maaaring maging issue itong bagay na ito.
So, follow up lang po, Kong. So, you believe na it's far from happening, yung pag-i-issue ng TRO ng Supreme Court on the petitions filed against the impeachment case?
Very hard for me to put myself in the minds of the members of the court. Hindi ko talaga masasabi kung it's very hard for me to answer your question because I really don't know what the court is disposed to do.
Thank you, Rose. We will acknowledge Agatha Gregorio from ABS-CBN for her questions.
Good morning po, Kong. So regarding naman po yung impeachment din po, especially yung SWS survey po na nabanggit kanina, you mentioned din po na the public clamor could impact yung impeachment court po. Do you think this is enough po to influence the Senate to push through the trial more and stop yung so-called delays nga po?
You know, in my experience in all the previous impeachment cases that I was involved in, malaking bagay talaga yung public clamor. Mula pa noong impeachment case ni dating Pangulong Estrada hanggang ngayon, it's always been a factor because sabi nga nila, hindi lang naman legal ang isang impeachment, kundi political din. And the senators also are, many of them are up for re-election in the future. So iniisip din malamang nila kung ano yung magiging epekto o ano yung mga nasa sa isip ng ating publiko.
And then kayo po, have you met with the other House prosecutors since po talked about the second requirement po?
Well, I have had discussions with the prosecution teams, pero dahil hindi pa naman ako official nakabahagi ng prosecution panel, I have not taken part in any of their meetings. I think that we'll have to wait until I am officially appointed, if ever, by the 20th Congress.
And regarding po yung resolutions of both houses po for charter change, do you think enough po yung time given yung impeachment nga po and then we're halfway through with the Marcos administration po?
Sa tingin ko, well, you raise a very good point. Sa tingin ko, wala kukulangin talaga ng oras yan para ma-address yung both houses resolution.
Thank you po.
Thank you.
Thank you, Agatha. Pamela Vasquez from DZMM.
Good morning po, Kong. Kanina po kasi nagkaroon ng briefing ang OVP and sinabi nga po nila na the Vice President is eager nga to be able to present her evidence and yet meron nga pong ganitong delays. Ang paliwanag naman po ni OVP spokes Ruth Castelo ay her lawyers are taking legal remedies or strategies that are allowable in court. So may I get lang po yung reaction on this?
Well, we welcome the statement of the Office of the Vice President that they want to have the trial proceed. And we hope that that is exactly what will happen. Hindi lang naman sila, buong Pilipinas ang nag-iintay na malitis na itong kaso.
And then on another lang po na sinabi nga na handa rin po silang tumalima and in case the SC says na the impeachment should proceed. Pero may sinabi din po siya na in case the SC says it cannot be heard at this time. And then, ito po yung sinabi niya, we'll be very lucky as a country because we'll save millions and millions of money on a trial that is technically defective from the very beginning. And she also added na huwag nang magsayang ng resources sa bansa na pwede pang maibigay sa ibang programa kaysa sa trial na mate-technical din sa dulo.
Unang-una, dapat siguro maalala natin kung saan nagbunga yung impeachment case. Yan ay resulta ng pag-iimbestiga ng ating mga kongresista, mga committees ng House of Representatives at maraming pagkakataon ang ibinigay kay Vice President Sara Duterte na ipaliwanag yung kanyang sarili pagdating sa mga issue ng budget, ng OVP, etc. Pero hindi nga niya, she did not take advantage of those opportunities which left everybody hanging and everybody wondering, ano ba talaga ang nangyari? Kung sana naisagot na niya yung mga lumalabas noon sa mga investigasyon ng Kongreso ay maaaring hindi na tayo umabot sa ganito. But because of that recalcitrance, the people deserve transparency, the people deserve accountability. Kailangan malaman natin kung ano ba talaga yung nangyari at talaga bang nagkaroon ng mga impeachable offenses si Vice President Duterte. And it's about time that we respect the process in the Constitution for holding high government officials accountable. Thank you.
Thank you, Pam. Marian Enriquez from TV5. Go ahead.
Good morning, sir. Kanina you mentioned na yung mismo yung utos ng saligang batas, ano? Na pag dumating na po yung impeachment complaint, ituturing na articles of impeachment at agad-agad kailangan ng simulan yung trial. Pero up until now, wala pa rin pong nangyari. Even the pre-trial, tingin niyo po deliberately vina-violate na nga talaga ng Senado po itong konstitusyon?
I leave it to the people to judge. I have said this many times that any actions that do not lead to an immediate trial of the case are not consistent and in fact violate the Constitution. May isa pang mahalagang provision dun sa ating Constitution, sa Article 11. Ha? At yun yung nabanggit ko kanina, that once the impeachment court convenes, it has the sole power to try and decide the case. And you have to look at those two provisions together, na kailangan ilitis agad para ma-exercise ng Senado yung kanilang kapangyarihan bilang impeachment court na desisyon na ang kaso.
So even yung sinabi rin po kanina ng Earl, yung, for example, yung plan po ni Senator Bato de la Rosa to even raise a motion pag-convene po ng 20th Congress, pag-open ng session, yung tatanungin po kung dapat ba or gusto ba ng 20th Congress senators na ituloy yung impeachment trial, paglabag din po yun or unconstitutional din po yun.
Nag-convene na kasi ang impeachment court. Kaya it's a duty of the incoming senators also to take their oath, just like the senators in the 19th Congress, who are now still a part of the 20th, have done so. Tungkulin nila yon. Yun ang aking pananaw.
Sir, kayo po, mayroon po ba kayong recommendation na siguro kung paano pwedeng gawin ng House Prosecution Team, maybe file a motion kahit umpisahan na po yung pre-trial? Kahit sana pa paano may gumugulong, kumbaga?
Well, I cannot speak yet for the House Prosecution Panel at ayoko rin ilabas kung ano man ang magiging strategiya o mga taktika ng prosecution. So I'd rather not respond to that question in the meantime.
But for you, if hindi pa naman, since hindi pa po kayo bahagi, kung kayo lang po personally tatanungin, ano pong tingin nyo maganda kayang dapat gawin din ng House Prosecution Panel right now para gumulong na po kahit paano yung proceedings?
I think one of the problems the prosecution is facing, and again, I'm not speaking on behalf of the panel, is that wala pa tayong session, and we are still in adjournment. Therefore, any motions that may be filed now will most likely not be acted upon until the 20th Congress opens. So kahit na may mga i-file ngayon, hindi tayo sure kung magkakaroon ng aksyon.
Pero sir, di ba continuing body ang impeachment court? So hindi po ba nila pwedeng gawin yun even during recess?
Yes, in theory they can do it. But again, I'm not. I cannot put myself in the mind of the Senate President what his disposition is as far as that goes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marian. Kat Porbes from Radyo Pilipinas.
Good morning po, Kong Chel. Nabanggit niyo po kanina yung karagdagang pondo na kailangan po for education. Last week po, si Congressman Leandro Leviste started this initiative na out of pocket niya, magbigay ng 1,000 pesos na kumbaga parang allowance for students. And inihain din po niya ito bilang isang batas. Ang sabi niya is 1,000 pesos per month from kinder to college na para po mapondohan. Ang sabi niya, aminado po siya na medyo malabo po or mahihirapang pondohan ito from national government. But if the congressmen or senators would allot po a percentage of their budget for education, mukhang masasagot naman daw po. Sa akbayan po ba, do you think feasible po yung ganito? Would you be willing po to allot a certain portion of your budget for education, yung giving po ng pag-allowance?
Parang hindi ko yata nabanggit kanina yung isa namin na bill na balak namin i-file, at yun yung Baon is Essential bill. Earlier I mentioned that one of the problems that our students have, is that while education is free, wala silang pangbaon, wala silang pampamasahe, pambili ng mga school supplies at mga libro. Kaya yun ang isang talagang sinusulong ng akbayan, na magkaroon tayo ng isang Baon is Essential bill. The way we framed it ay para matulungan yung mga pinakamahihirap na mga estudyante natin. So ang magiging coverage ng aming panukalang batas ay mga present recipients ng 4Ps at mga dating recipients ng 4Ps. Because we are mindful as well of the budgetary constraints that may come up kung mas malawak pa yung magiging coverage ng bill. But we are open to working with Congressman De Viste and with others who have other proposals in mind. Basta't ang importante sa amin ay maalagaan natin at maproteksyonan natin ang ating mga mag-aaral.
Sir, regarding pa rin po sa education, so nabanggit nyo nga po na importante po yung sa edukasyon po natin no, sa sector. But part po nung dun sa charter change po na isinusulong is to open up yung education sector sa yung foreign equity po. Ang kanilang punto po kasi is para yung kumbaga yung knowledge sharing po from foreign institutions na makuha din po dito sa Pilipinas o sa mga paaralan po dito sa atin. Kung ganun po, would you be open po to support yung ganun charter change to open po yung ating education sector?
I think that will become a big issue that must be debated because while there may be some advantages to doing that, there are also disadvantages to doing that. Given the state of our education today, na talagang nasa crisis mode tayo, I do not think that now is the time to open up our education to other countries. But again, we'll take it one step at a time pag dumating tayo dyan sa puntong yan.
Sir, last na lang po on my end. Meron po kayo nabanggit na bill for papalakasin po yung protection ng karapatan at kapakanan po ng mga kabataan. Pwede po ba kayong mag-share ng ilang key points or key provisions doon? Kasi baka lang po, meron na po tayong mga issue kasi before, di ba, sa mga estudyante na parang sinasabi masyado ng lenient sa mga estudyante, hindi na sila nadidisiplina. Hindi naman po ba mauuwi sa ganon yung rights and protection ng children na kumbaga sa ngayong century, hindi na po sila ganon ka, kumbaga, disiplinado. Wala naman pong magiging issue dun sa ganun po na dun sa rights na sinusulong po natin.
Wala namang kaming nakikita. Kasi ayon sa mga pag-aaral ng mga experts, kailangan ng mga estudyante ng safe space so that they can develop as students. And when we speak of a safe space, it's not only safe in terms of against discrimination, but it must also be safe in terms of their ability to express themselves and to exchange and share opinions. It should also be safe for our campus journalists to be able to use that freedom of the press within their campuses. So ito yung mga bagay na sa tingin namin kailangan talagang tutukan. Yung isa pang issue ay, nabanggit ko rin ito kanina, sa mga estudyante naman na nag-i-internship, kuminsan ay medyo na-exploit sila dahil nga required yung mga internships or on-the-job training. So we hope also through legislation to address this problem. Maganda nga yung konsepto ng internship, dapat both sides must benefit from it.
Thank you, Pat. Haji Camino from Brigada News.
Kong Shell, good morning po.
Good morning.
Balikan ko lang po yung sa charter change na isinusulong. You've mentioned that kakapusin na po sa panahon kung ngayon na tatalakayin yung charter change. But the proponent, si Kong Alfredo Garbin, ang sinasabi daw po niya kasi is now is the right time to do the right thing. Tapos doon po sa pag-amyenda sa Article 1 sa National Territory sa paglalagay nga po nung arbitral ruling sa West Philippine Sea, wala naman daw po sigurong Pilipino na tututol na i-conform po natin with the UNCLOS yung pag-iit sa rights po natin sa ating exclusive economic zone, sir. Your thoughts po?
Nasa ating konstitusyon na that international law forms part of the law of the land. So whether that Article 1 is amended or not, ay kabahagi na ng batas natin yung arbitral ruling ng the arbitral court sa The Hague. So kung yun lang naman yung purpose natin, ang nakikita lang namin magiging issue dyan ay once na mabuksan yung pag-amenda ng Constitution, maaring may iba pang babaguhin doon. And again, that may open up a can of worms because there will be many different positions taken by different parties and legislators as far as what should or shouldn't be amended. Sana ang gawin natin para hindi naman pumasok yung politika sa pag-aamenda ng konstitusyon ay let's move it forward and first create, let's say, a panel of experts from the academe, civil society, and all other players in our society to come up with ano ba talaga yung kailangan nating gawin para sa pagbabago ng ating konstitusyon. And then tackle it 5 years down the road or certain number of years down the road para assured tayo na magiging evidence-based yung gagawin natin at hindi lamang dahil sa mga political agenda. I'm not saying that anyone has a specific agenda. I'm just saying that kuminsan yun ang nangyayari pagdating sa Chacha.
Buti po't na-mention po ninyo yung panel of experts sa Kong Shell. Kasi ang binabanggit naman po ni Kong Garbin, parang dapat nga daw ipaliwanag po ng mahusay o ng mabuti sa publiko kasi nalalagyan nga daw po ng negatibo, nalalagyan ng fear, nalalagyan ng kumbaga misinformation yung charter change dahil nga po malalagyan ng political amendment. So tingin po ninyo ito yung magiging effective way of addressing yung fears ng public to have a panel na kumbaga sasailalim sa consultation itong charter change?
For me, consultation is always beneficial, lalong-lalo na pagka ang nakukonsulta, yung talagang stakeholders sa isang issue. And that will also allay fears perhaps that it's being used for other purposes.
Last na lang po, other topic lang, Kong Shell. Balikan ko lang sa OVP. Nabanggit din po kanina sa press briefing ni spokesperson Castelo na pag sinabi naman daw, kasi sinagot po nila yung binabanggit na hindi naman ibig sabihin na nakakuha ka ng unmodified opinion rating from the Commission on Audit, walang irregularity. Pero pag nakakakuha daw po kasi ng mga ganitong klase ng rating, doon din daw po tutungo na walang mali sa pag-present ng mga financial statements at wala daw pong missed financial statements sa Kong Shell.
Hindi ko na-cover yung na-monitor yung mga nabanggit na yon. But I think the proper platform for this discussion is in the impeachment proceedings because that's really where evidence should be presented.
Thank you po.
Thank you, Haji. We will hear the next questions from Mabig Trinidad of Abante Radio.
Sir, good morning po.
Good morning.
Balikan ko lang ho yung survey regarding the impeachment of VP. The survey represents the public clamor, no po? Sinasabi po nila. Do you think po yung survey po in a way ay naging partial success para po sa House? And in a way po din ay na-pressure ngayon po ang Senado dahil si Senator Joel po announced it earlier na magre-reconvene na po ang impeachment court on August 4. Ano po ang reaction po ninyo?
Noon pa lang mga hearings ng mga iba't ibang committee ng House of Representatives, nakita naman natin lahat na tutok ang mga ordinaryong Pilipino. Halos lahat ng mga tahanan ay alam nila kung anong nangyayari, kung sino tumetestigo, anong ebidensya ang hinaharap. And that has, I believe, really raised their attention and awareness about what impeachment is all about. Kasi nga, pag sinabi natin impeachment, ang talagang issue dyan ay dapat ba may pananagutan ang isang mataas na opisyal. At ngayon, everyone is waiting with bated breath for the trial to begin. And the survey, I believe, shows that sentiment.
Now that the Senate will reconvene as impeachment court on August 4, palagay niyo po ba na pressure ang Senado sa survey?
I think for me, the question is, the Constitution commands that the Senate, after it has convened as an impeachment court, must conduct the trial forthwith. And that should happen. So para sa akin, yun ang talagang kailangan mga ibabaw sa lahat ng mga senator judge natin. Thank you.
Thank you, Mabik. We now call on Bernard Taguinod from Saksi Ngayon.
Tingin niyo sir, nauubos na yung pasensya ng mga tao sa Senado tsaka kay VP dahil sa pagsagot, kaya gano'n na lang yung lumabas sa survey?
Tingin ko, yung lumabas sa survey talagang eye-opener yan para sa lahat. Kasi ang pinapakita niyan na iniintay ng sambayan ng Pilipino yung paglitis ng kaso. We are all waiting for the trial to begin.
Nauubos na pasensya?
I think you can come to that conclusion from the results of the survey.
Thank you, Bernard. For today's last question, Big Sumintak from Net25.
Kong, magandang umaga po. Sa itong dilema na kinakaharap natin sa impeachment case against the Vice President, maituturing ba natin ito na unique and extraordinary compare doon sa mga previous impeachment cases like of ERAP and Chief Justice Corona? Kasi itong kay BP Sara, nung ma-file yung article of impeachment, pasara ang 19th Congress. Kaya nagkakaroon ng ganitong delay na ginagamit ng Senado para hindi kaagad masunod yung constitutional provision na forthwith.
Well, maraming unique at kakaibang mga pangyayari dito sa impeachment case ni VP Sara Duterte. Nandyan yung nabanggit ninyo na yung timing ng pag-filing, pero hindi lang yon. Nandyan din yung issue ng yung mga nangyari before and after the articles, the verified complaint was filed. At pinaka-recent, syempre, yung direktiba na nanggaling sa ating Korte Suprema, samantalang nag-convene na ang ating Senado bilang impeachment court. So all of these issues are new, and as far as I'm aware, wala pa talaga tayong konkretong jurisprudence pagdating sa mga ilang issue na yan. Thank you.
We will entertain Tina Panganiban Perez of GMA7.
Sir, may pahabol lang po yung aking office. Your reaction po to this, Senator Amy Marcos has filed a measure seeking the prohibition of arresting or detaining any person in the Philippine territory and transfer to an international court without a warrant of arrest issued by a local court.
I haven't seen that resolution, no? But just based on what you have informed, what you have told me, number one, kahit na tayo ay kumalas na sa International Criminal Court, meron pa rin tayong mga obligasyon sa court sa ilalim ng Rome Statute for those crimes that are committed or covered by the jurisdiction of the ICC noon tayo ay membro. And included doon yung ating obligasyon na sumunod. We have a duty to respect and to follow the procedures of the ICC. Any law that we will pass or that will be in violation of the Rome Statute, for me, would not be consistent with our obligations under the ICC. Yung isa pang bagay na sana madiinan natin ay ang ICC ay isang court of last resort, kaya nga meron siyang principle of complementarity. Ibig sabihin nun, kung kaya naman litisin ng maayos at patas ang kaso sa isang bansa tulad ng Pilipinas, ay hindi na kailangan pang pumunta sa ICC. But based on the deliberations of the International Criminal Court, they have come to the conclusion that, and I fully agree with it, that it will be so difficult to have a fair trial in the Philippines of a former president who has still a lot of influence na maaring matakot ang mga testigo, maaring magdalawang isip, maaring a former president who also managed to appoint a lot of members of the judiciary, a former president who really waged a war on drugs that was a very violent war. Kaya para sa akin, we can be assured of a fair trial if it's done in the ICC. The judges there cannot be coerced, intimidated, or otherwise influenced in their decisions. Pati ang mga testigo ay hindi rin matatakot na humarap at sabihin yung kanilang kaalaman. Thank you.
So sir, malabo pong pumasa yung ganitong panukalang batas?
I would have to read the bill before I can really say, no? But I think that doon pa lang sa kanila, pagdedebatehan na maigi yan.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Vic and Tina. Before we conclude our press conference, we kindly request our honorable guest to share his few closing words.
Well, first of all, maraming salamat sa itong ginawa natin na kwentuhan. Feeling ko kanina parang mas mahirap pa yata ito sa pagharap sa Supreme Court sa oral argument. But thank you so much for the opportunity to introduce my agenda. I hope this will be only the first of many conversations we will have. At my door is always open for the media. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Akbayan Party List Representative Ciel Jokno.